Reversal. The Abandoned Woman's Transformation. Chapter 4. In this life you can only be his sister after an hour's drive. The taxi stopped at the entrance of the Zhuang family villa. Zhuang Mingyue walked into the house and changed her shoes at the entrance. Seeing her, Aunt Wu immediately came over. "Miss, why are you alone? Didn't young Master Zhan come back with you?" Aunt Wu was still very young at that time without many wrinkles. Zhuang Mingyue stepped forward and hugged Aunt Wu. After her mother died, Aunt Wu was the only one who treated her like her own, the only person who treated her well. However, Aunt Wu was later forced to stay at the Zhan family to take care of Zhan Yan and Song Qiqi. "Aunt Wu, I missed you so much." "Ah, Miss, what's wrong? Are you still not feeling well?" Aunt Wu pushed Zhuang Mingyue away and worriedly touched her forehead, checking for a fever, but there was nothing wrong. Aunt Wu felt that Zhuang Mingyue was acting a bit strange today but couldn't pinpoint why. "Nothing, I just wanted to hug you. Are you hungry? The porridge in the pot is just ready. I'll get you a bowl. I don't have much of an appetite, I want to sleep first. Call me for lunch." After a sleepless night and a car ride, Zhuang Mingyue felt a bit dizzy. "By the way, Miss Master just called. He wants you to call him back when you get home. He has something to tell you. And this is a platinum shopping card he left for you before his business trip." Zhuang Mingyue took the card from Aunt Wu and nodded. "Okay. Was this Zhuang Haixing's compensation for her on behalf of Zhan Yan?" Zhuang Mingyue knew what Zhuang Haixing wanted to say, so she calmly called him. She couldn't quite describe her feelings for Zhuang Haixing. He did play the role of a good father, but it was just a role. He was not a good father. She knew that Zhuang Haixing always wanted a son to inherit the family business. He had many mistresses outside but none bore him a son or daughter, so he eventually adopted Zhan Yan. And she, as his growing daughter, was just a tool for marriage alliances. To gain benefits, he would even go to the extent of sending his daughter to another man's bed. Only Aunt Wu stayed by her side since childhood. If she had the ability to escape this family, Zhuang Mingyue would never stay here. When the call connected, "Hello, Dad. Feeling better? What did the doctor say?" His voice on the phone sounded like a superior's casual concern for a subordinate. "I'm fine now, much better. Mingyue, you are my daughter, remember that?" Zhuang Mingyue silently chuckled. She knew this was Zhuang Haixing's warning. Even if he wasn't in front of her, she could imagine the cold and distant look in his eyes to show him she was just a pawn. Zhuang Mingyue's eyelashes fluttered, and she obediently said, "Yes, I know. I'm sorry, Dad. I won't do it again. Did you get the card? Go shopping when you have time, buy whatever you like, and don't stay home painting all day. Go out and make some friends." "Okay, Dad." After dealing with Zhuang Haixing, Zhuang Mingyue went straight to her room. At this time her room was all pink with a sweet candy scent. The huge princess bed was something every girl dreamed of. Just then her phone rang. It was a call from Zhan Yan. Zhuang Mingyue's hand trembled, and she dropped the phone. She didn't pick it up, even hoping it would break. After the call ended automatically, she picked up the phone and sent him a message. "Brother, sorry, I forgot to tell you. I just got home and was about to message you." The message showed as read. He didn't reply but called her again. Zhuang Mingyue answered with a blank expression. "Hello, brother. Mingyue, this is the last time. Next time, call me before you do anything." His voice carried a hint of anger, leaving no room for negotiation. "Okay, I know." Zhuang Mingyue's voice was soft and compliant, without any fault. After 8 years of marriage, Zhuang Mingyue knew Zhan Yan well. He was a domineering person. Everything had to be done his way without any defiance. The old Zhuang Mingyue was used to being obedient, always listening to whatever he said. Chapter 5. Childhood Sweetheart by Yushu. After dinner, Zhuang Mingyue went to bed early. She liked to drink a cup of hot milk before sleeping, a habit she couldn't break over the years. Through the thin curtains, the intense night outside was visible, and a beam of high beams shone through the window. The screeching sound of tires gripping the ground was heard. The Audi A6 that Zhan Yan drove was a new car that Zhuang Haixing had rewarded him with at the company. After getting out of the car, he walked into the entrance of the living room and put down the car keys. His sharp gaze scanned the room but did not find the familiar figure. There used to be a slender figure sitting on the sofa, watching boring soap operas, but now it was empty, and the coffee table was clean. Without the usual extra snacks, Jean Yan's eyes dimmed a bit. Aunt Wu came out of the kitchen. "Young Master Jean, have you had dinner?" Jean Yan asked. "Where is Mingyue?" Aunt Wu replied. "Miss, she is not feeling well and went to bed early. I'll go check on her." Jean Yan put one hand in his pocket and walked upstairs, with a hint of fatigue between his brows. After taking 3 steps on the stairs, he stopped and said, "Xiaoyu will come back at noon tomorrow. Make a few more dishes that she likes." Aunt Wu replied, "Okay, young Master Jean." Jean Yan went to the 3rd floor and pressed the room door. But unlike usual, it didn't open. It was locked from the inside. Jean Yan frowned. Both his and Zhuang Mingyue's rooms were on the 3rd floor. Zhuang Haixing's room was on the 2nd floor, which was usually off-limits, and the 4th floor was Bai Yushu's private residence. Usually, Zhuang Mingyue's room was always accessible to him, never locked. But this time it was unexpected. Could it be that Zhuang Mingyue had really given up on him? Jean Yan knocked on the door. "Mingyue, are you asleep?" Hearing the devil knocking on the door, Zhuang Mingyue clutched the quilt and shrank into the bed, covering her ears, not wanting to respond. Actually, when Jean Yan drove back, Zhuang Mingyue had already woken up from the noise. Jean Yan had bought a house outside with 2 bedrooms, 2 living rooms, 2 bathrooms, and a kitchen. He hardly ever came back because she was here. Jean Yan had left this home to escape her entanglement. Now that he was back, it was only because Bai Yushu was returning from abroad for treatment tomorrow. Bai Yushu had congenital asthma since childhood, and the medical conditions in the country were average, so Jean Yan sent her abroad for treatment. Jean Yan was looking for her so late to warn her not to think about bullying Bai Yushu again. Bai Yushu was Jean Yan's childhood sweetheart. They grew up together in an orphanage. It was said that they suffered a lot outside, sleeping on the streets, fighting stray dogs for food, almost relying on each other for survival. Bai Yushu was brought back to the Zhuang family by Jean Yan in his 2nd year there. Even if he brought someone back, Zhuang Haixing wouldn't say anything. It was just another person to support, and the Zhuang family wasn't short of money. Zhuang Mingyue was about the same age as her, but Bai Yushu was naturally beautiful, with a pure look that was the type all boys liked in their youth. She liked to wear white long dresses, with long black hair down to her waist, and her eyes were both pure and alluring. Even Zhuang Mingyue felt she wasn't as beautiful as her. It was normal for men to be attracted to her. Because of her relationship with Jean Yan, jealousy turned Zhuang Mingyue into someone unrecognizable. She often bullied her in secret, pricking her waist, arms, and thighs with fine needles. But Bai Yushu didn't dare to complain because she had a secret she couldn't reveal. It was because of this secret that Zhuang Mingyue dared to bully her recklessly. But later, she died. She was only in her early 20s when she committed suicide by slitting her wrists. Zhuang Mingyue could still remember that day clearly. It was raining heavily, and Jean Yan, with blood all over his hands, stormed into her room. The lightning illuminated his eyes filled with murderous intent, like a hellish azura, as he grabbed her neck. "Why? Why can't you leave her alone? Zhuang Mingyue. Why wasn't it you who died? All of you Zhuang family members deserve to die." At that moment, Zhuang Mingyue knew that Jean Yan truly wanted to kill her. Bai Yushu's death was her lifelong nightmare, because she was indirectly responsible for it. In the years following her death, Zhuang Mingyue had never had a good night's sleep. She owed Bai Yushu, and she would make it up to her in this lifetime. Chapter 6. Jean Yan has always had no patience for hair in her previous life. Jean Yan married Song Qiqi because her eyebrows and eyes resembled Bai Yushu's, keeping her as a substitute by his side. From childhood to adulthood, Zhuang Mingyue was always inferior to Bai Yushu in terms of grades and appearance, except for her family background. The bond between Bai Yushu and Jean Yan was like a fortress made of steel, unbreakable. His love for Bai Yushu was deeply ingrained, while to Jean Yan, Zhuang Mingyue was merely the daughter of an enemy, with no trace of affection. The knocking on the door became heavier. Zhuang Mingyue bit her lip. Jean Yan had always had no patience for her. If she didn't open the door soon, he might just kick it down. Zhuang Mingyue turned on the room light, got out of bed, put on her shoes, and opened the door, pretending to have just woken up. She rubbed her eyes. "Brother? Why are you back?" "Sorry, I slept too deeply and didn't hear you." "Is something wrong?" Jean Yan's sharply painted eyebrows furrowed. But seeing her genuinely sleepy and getting up to open the door for him, his brows relaxed. He reached out to touch her forehead with a gentle gaze. Zhuang Mingyue lowered her eyes, turned away to avoid him, and walked to the table to pour a glass of water, hiding her emotions while Zhang Yan's black eyes turned cold, and he withdrew his hand indifferently, walking into the room and closing the door. Zhuang Mingyue felt uneasy but then remembered that Zhang Yan, who disliked her now, wouldn't do anything to her. She felt relieved. Zhang Yan looked around the pink-themed room filled with a sweet scent, just like the smell in his car. It hadn't changed much from before. Feeling better. Zhang Yan's tone was cold and flat. Zhuang Mingyue put down the glass, pulled out the chair in front of the desk and sat down, keeping her distance from him. Thank you for your concern, brother. I'm much better now. Zhang Yan walked over, carrying a mixed scent of smoke and alcohol. Not pleasant but not unbearable either. Compared to his peers, Zhang Yan was already a successful business elite. Years of struggling in the business world had given him an aura of arrogance and calmness, a sharp and composed demeanor. Dressed in a black suit, his tall figure was extremely attractive and abstinent. Such an outstanding man, combined with his superior bone structure, was very appealing to women. But she knew that beneath this handsome exterior lay a demon, like a ghost from hell waiting for the right moment to tear her and all the Zhuang family apart to keep him at bay. Zhuang Mingyue deliberately showed a look of disdain, fanning the air in front of her nose. Brother, did you smoke again? And there's a smell of alcohol. I don't like this smell. Sure enough, he stopped 3 steps away from her. Sorry, I've been busy lately and had to socialize. I'll be more careful next time. Without waiting for him to bring it up, Zhuang Mingyue mentioned Bai Yushu. Brother, is Yushu coming back tomorrow? I haven't seen her in years and miss her. I've already asked Aunt Wu to clean the room upstairs. She can stay there when she comes back. Zhang Yan's eyes deepened, a cold light flashed briefly. No need. I'm planning to have Xiaoyu move to my place. Really? Zhuang Mingyue touched the bandage on her wrist, feeling a faint pain in her heart. That's good. If you need any help, just let me know. In her previous life, Zhang Yan had also mentioned taking Bai Yushu away, but Zhuang Mingyue refused. If Bai Yushu left, she wouldn't have the chance to bully her. Besides, Zhuang Mingyue loved Zhang Yan so much that she couldn't let them live together. So she used the excuse of wanting Bai Yushu to stay with her to keep her at the Zhuang family. Tomorrow I'm off. I'll go to the airport to pick her up, bring her home for a meal, pack her things, and then take you both out in the evening. Zhuang Mingyue looked up and smiled at Zhang Yan. Brother, I won't go. I want to rest at home tomorrow. I have exams coming up and need to study. Looking at Zhang Yan's cold and handsome face, Zhuang Mingyue felt a bit dazed. She didn't want to get involved in their fights. She just wanted to play the role of a harmless and obedient sister. Endure these years, save money, and then leave far away. But Zhang Yan's suspicious and cunning nature made her unsure if she could deceive him. Zhang Yan looked at Zhuang Mingyue calmly. The girl with her head down, obedient and fragile, was a stark contrast to the arrogant and domineering Zhuang Mingyue of the past. It was hard for her to act for so long. The man's thin lips carried a hint of darkness, then he spoke gently. You and Yushu are both my sisters. I won't favor either of you. When I come back in the evening, let's have dinner together. And I'll bring your favorite strawberry mousse cake. Okay. Zhuang Mingyue didn't dare to let her guard down. Her eyes curved like crescent moons as she smiled. Okay. Thank you, brother. Rest early. Welcome to subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell and follow.